Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So today we're going to begin our final topic of the quarter. And this is a little bit qualitatively different than what we've done for most of the second half of the course. We've really placed a very heavy emphasis on data science, machine learning, and scientific computation in a variety of packages like NumPy and Pandas and scikit-learn. And what we're going to do briefly is pivot to app design. And now we've now reached the end of the quarter, and I think it's likely that most of you are probably pretty exhausted. I think the reviews of this course are pretty consistent. The material is very interesting, but it's a ton of work, and they throw a lot of information at you at the same time. So the format of this video is going to be a little bit different. There's not going to be any typing for you to do. I'm just going to go through this code line by line, show you what it does, and then I'll post this Py file to CCLA. The other thing which you'll notice is that this video is in Spider, not a Jupyter Notebook. And that's because in the context of app design and generating graphical user interfaces, Spider is the most realistic way to be interacting with Python. So the package we need to use is called tkinter. So we say import tkinter as tkt. And then we can create a window that's going to hold our main interface using window is equal to tk.tk. And if we just run this, nothing will happen. But we have a line at the very end of our code which says hashtag window main loop. So right now, everything else is commented out. So when I press play, all that's going to happen is we are going to get a blank window like this. And this is going to be the basis for our app. We can move it around, drag it. We can reshape it. And right now, there's not too much else going on. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And so the first thing we might want to do is to give it a title. And if we give it a title with window.title equals hello widget, now we can see that our widget has a nice little title, hello widget. We also might want to specify the size of the widget. So we could say window is equal to geometry. And you pass in the geometry using a string because of some weird specifics of how tkinter is implemented. And if you want to control how resizable your window is, you can make it, so you can use window.resizable and let's maybe make it so that we can change the width, but not the height. With the window.resizable method. And now we can see that if I try to change the height, it won't let me, but I can still change the width. If you want to, you can also specify a minimal size for your width and your height of, say, 300 by 300. Or if you don't want that, you don't need that line. So that's how we make an empty window. So next we need to learn how to put stuff in our window. So the first thing we're going to put in our window are labels. And labels are text. And they're our first example of a widget. And widgets are the stuff that you use when you're using tkinter. All of the objects in tkinter are going to be widgets. And we're going to put our widget inside of the overall window. So to do that, we say label1 is equal to tk.label window. We're going to have a text that says woo penguins. We're eventually going to build up to an app that is going to play with penguins some more and implement penguin classification in our app that we're building. We're going to set the background to be Firebrick, the foreground to be white, the height to be 2, and the font to be Helvetica 16 bold. And if we do this, well, nothing happens. And that is because in order to actually make this appear, you need to say label1.grid. We're going to say row equals 0, column equals 0, which means it's going to appear on the top left of the widget. Woo, penguins, hooray. Or if we wanted to get crazy, we could have a whole bunch of different labels. So I'm going to comment that out. And I'm going to say for I in range 5, label is equal to TK label, window, text, woo penguins, background fire brick, foreground white, height 2, font Helvetica bold. And now we're going to get 5 different labels, all in different positions. And it looks like I made a typo somewhere. Oh yeah, those 3 quotes were in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. And now we got a nice big diagonal band of woo penguins, woo penguins, woo penguins. I'm going to just get rid of that also to save us a little bit of space. And up next, the concept we're going to introduce is something called a frame. And so frames are going to be rectangles that hold stuff, and they're useful for keeping your app organized. So we're going to make 3 sections called our header, our body, and our footer. And so the code for this is frame header is equal to tk.frame, window, border width. We're going to pad the y-axis by 2 and set the background equal to gray. And we're going to have similar code for the body and for the footer, but with white and with blue. And then to make this display, we'll put the header in position 0, 0, the body in position 1, 0, and the footer in position 2, 0. And what we'll notice that's a little bit strange is now nothing happens. And the reason for this is that frames are designed to hold something. And so they don't actually appear until you give it something to hold. And so we're going to let the frames hold labels. And so I'm going to create 3 different labels, which are going to go in our 3 different frames. So our first label is label header. It's an object. It's an instance of the tk.label. We're going to use the tk.label method. And we are going to associate this to the frame header. The text is going to be woo penguins, background fire brick, foreground white, height 2, width 35, font Helvetica 16. In the body, our text is going to say Oswald Cobblepot, who is the penguin from Batman. And in the footer, we're going to say all done, because the footer comes last. Likewise, we are going to use the grid command in order to locate our actual labels at the bottom of each of these frames. And so now we do this, and we have our first primitive version of our app. So that's it for this video, and we'll continue on building up on all of this again next time.